Hi Pisces, welcome to your week ahead Taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Pisces, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. For your key to the week this week, you have the Star card. This actually feels like a week where you are very focused on your future, Pisces. This is about what comes next. Where am I going from here? What are the larger goals I would put, I would put my time, my energy, and my effort into? The Star card is also, because it is literally a card of the future, but it's a card of hope. This suggests that this is a very promising week to give you some signs, symbols, possibly synchronicities on things that are leading you, or certainly pointing the signposts to say this is where you are heading right now. What are you going to do about it? This could also be a week that gives you some maybe blueprint, some cosmic blueprint on how to fast track the results that you're getting. So, if you have a very clear idea of where you're heading or what you want your future to look like, this week maybe the signs, symbols and synchronicities line up to show you how you can make that happen a lot faster. This is also a card of networking, connecting to different people. It's a friendship card because ultimately this is a card of your tribe because it's Aquarius ruled, right? This is also social media, the internet, any and all things technological are featured this week. So this is a week for you to really broaden your horizons or expand your mind beyond your current level of consciousness and awareness. With that said, if you are a continued subby, Rafi loves you. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. For your actions and options, you have the Nine of Swords. For some of you, this might be a feeling that your friends or your tribe are pulling away from you. Very possible, but that Nine of Swords, this is, because it's your actions and options. Don't approach the future or your future or the things that you want. This is not a week to approach them from a fear-based sort of mentality, because when we act from fear, we start to get grabby. And when we get grabby, the things that we want, the things that we're trying to manifest start to move further away from us, right? It's such an annoying juxtaposition of the whole manifesting game. But the more you grab at the thing that you want, the more likely it is to try to avoid you or to not go your way. You have to kind of want it, but not want it. You've got to want it loosely. It's kind of like if you've ever been in a swimming pool. If you try to directly grab something that's floating away from you, it doesn't work, does it? Whereas if you kind of put your hand gently around it and then keep your fingers loose, but then pull it to you, that's the secret, right? So you gotta want it, but not want it too much. You gotta go after it, but not grab at it. And this kind of feels like, you've the potential this week to make some really marvelous things happen, or you can get all in your mind about it and come at it from that fear-based level that is going to push it further away from you. The other thing is as well, I would be conscious of how much you interact with social media this week. You might see or experience something that just kind of gives you a bit of a we're all doomed moment. We've had plenty of those recently. For your communications and conversations, you have the Three of Swords. So this may be for some of you letting go of a social group, a social connection, maybe a friendship tie. For some of you, this could be a group that you are associated with or tied to. Maybe you decide, actually, you know what? I think I've got everything out of it that I wanted or needed to, and now it's time to move on. Remember, the Three of Swords is about separations, and with the Star card here, this I kind of feel in a lot of your conversations this week, you might have moments of realization of, okay, I'm ready to let that go, or I'm ready to let this go, or I'm ready to release this in order to have ... I kind of like this because in a lot of ways it does see you being very honest and very clear cut. Not that you're not always honest, but I kind of feel like this is more vocal honesty, you know, like rather than sort of like knowing the truth on the deep and the inside and all the rest of it. This is verbalizing those things, knowing what you're moving away from and being fine with it. For those of you that are studying or in some form of academic program, for some of you, it looks like this week you might literally decide that studying is not the path for you. That this isn't the direction that you want to go in, that this isn't the course that you want to do. Maybe it's not even the school or the environment that you want to be in. There's a really strong sense here that something, it's like, you know what, this is off the cards. I'm going to do something completely different and go in a different direction. Yes, yes, yes. When it comes to those of you that are employed by somebody else, I mean, the Three of Swords here, I don't think this is all of you are just going to suddenly walk out of your jobs, but I do feel like a lot of you are going to start to distance yourself. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Start to distance yourself maybe from some of the cliques that exist within the place that you work at, you know, whether you're in the office or out of it or working remote or whatever. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, that Three of Swords is you releasing the unconventional notions, all right? So for a lot of you, I actually feel like this could be a week where you start to let go of the uncertainty and embrace it, right? So again, that whole idea, right? Where it's like, okay, things are a bit uncertain or they're a bit up in the air, but I can relax into that or steer into that, and it makes life better, easier, and also a little bit more fun. I like this. It could also be as well that some of you are choosing to do something that will either see you joining a new group or at least associating yourself with or aligning yourself with new ideas and methodologies that kind of go beyond anything that you're sort of using at this moment in time. As an example, let's say you go from analog to digital, from digital to quantum, right? Like there's a big jump here somewhere, and it's you embracing that whole jump. When it comes to those of you that are retired and no longer working for any reason, here, because you've got the Three of Swords and the Nine of Swords, you could come across as quite nervy this week, like a bit fluttery, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, I'm laughing because it's like in my mind I'm hearing or seeing, you know, the police academy guy with the really crazy voice and the crazy I used to find him hilarious as a kid. If you've ever seen any of the Police Academy movies, you know who I'm talking about. I don't even need to explain, but you know what I mean. And I kind of feel like this week you may come across a little bit like that this week, like a little bit, you know, a little bit intense, a little bit Captain Jack Sparrow. Not a bad thing, not a bad thing at all. I mean, because Captain Jack, let's take a minute. For your love and relations, get it together, Raf. You got the 10 of Wands. Okay, so for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, you've got this Nine of Swords. It's really important that you don't just throw your concerns at your partner, because they might just be a bit like, okay, is it a midlife crisis? What's going on? You have to find a way to share these things rather than just kind of blurt them out. That 10 of Wands is a release of energy off of the... in my mind, I've got like a really heavy image, and it, you know, it's kind of like, I feel like this week the release of the burden on a relationship is being let go of. So this is that moment where the universe takes its foot off the neck of your relationship. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. What I will also say for those of you that are single, this week I mean, striking up a new relationship is probably not going to be easy. And the reason I say this is, even though there's no blast from the blast from the past card, try saying that 10 times fast when you've had a few. I kind of feel like you may run into an ex, or you may realize that a current, partner or somebody that you're seeing or whatever maybe knows somebody that you were previously in a relationship with. Could get a little bit awkward. It's not a thing. It's a thing if you make it a thing, especially with the Nine of Swords and the actions and options. Otherwise, it's not. For your money and materials, you have the Four of Swords. There's a lot of air here. This is a hell of a lot of air, right? Four of Swords, Three of Swords, Nine of Swords, Star card, Aquarius ruled. That's all air energy with a little bit of fire. This can be a combustible kind of energy, right? What happens when you add a lot of oxygen to the fire? But this is a lot more air, which is asking you to do something that maybe goes a little bit against your usual. You're being asked to think more this week than approach it through your feelings, all right? Use this faculty more so than this, right? This is always going to be here because you're a Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant, but you need to use this more. For your finances, the Four of Swords, if there's something that you need to buy, unless it's an absolute necessity, not this week. No big purchases for you, all right? You can do the research around it, get a good understanding of what's out there and what you can get for your money, but just give it a moment of consideration. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this would be your, first of all, in terms of your physical health and vitality, I would say this would be a really good week to really build rest into your schedule. Make sure you're taking time off and out to really look after yourself. Outside of that, this is a good week to really look after your kidneys and your waterworks. And it's interesting that that comes up because that message has come up for a few signs this week, which makes me wonder what's happening on the, on the whole. And then I wonder if this week we hear something in the news about water and the supply of water to people. I've got this sneaking suspicion that that's what it's about. So here's as an example, and this is important. A lot of people, myself included, I didn't see the pandemic. What I did see, however, consistently, I might add, in people's readings were that their trips weren't going ahead. What I did see was that people's mortgage sales were falling through. What I did see was that people were leaving their homes and their jobs in droves. And I really couldn't understand it. I was just like, all of this stuff is happening on the wider world stage. I didn't see the pandemic as such. I didn't see the whole COVID thing. What I saw was what was happening on the ground to people as a result of it. And so now, as an experienced tarot reader, I got goosebumps talking about this. It's amazing. With that as a scope to understand, right, my brain, my training, my intuition, all working together as I'm starting to understand that when things come up consistently, it's usually because there's something else happening that's going to affect many people on the ground. So now I understand these things at a different level. And, not to blow my own trumpet, but a fair few people have said to me, like, your predictions of world events are spooky accurate at times. So, just to give you this, I can reiterate this message here. I wonder if this week we're going to hear something about the water supply in a country, or maybe the global water supply and or the oceans, or some effort that's going to happen with them. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear that. Or anyway, I will say no more on that. So yes, for huge digression, I apologize. Going into your home and environment, the Four of Swords, make it more comfortable. All right, make your home more comfortable and more appealable, not just for you, but also for guests, because you may end up having more than you imagined. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.